What's up, everybody? I am Mark D. We are the NFL experts, and joined as always by Wayne G. What's up, my man?
What's going on? It's a toasty day here in Foxborough where it was 83 or 84 today. It's going to be 92 tomorrow. So very toasty.
Well, we're kind of getting the opposite here. We got a downpour like crazy today, crazy rain, but in Colorado, it only sticks around for like 20 minutes. So we got a heavy rainfall and then gone away, and now it's clear skies.
Perfect.
Well, it's cloudy, but it's clear.
Yes, stay
All
away
right,
rain.
so
Thursday is Thursday's my men's golf league, so definitely want the rain to stay away. We can rain today, but then Thursday I want sun.
So you don't want to blame the weather on your bad golfing? Is that what I hear?
I don't golf bad, so I never end the blame.
All right. Well, if anybody likes what they hear tonight in tonight's show, me and Wayne, we are the NFL experts. If you want to find us, we are at NFL Experts Pod on all the social medias, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. And if you want to email us at NFLExpertsPod@gmail. Send us a question, a comment. Hey, if you just want to say Wayne's a dick, send it to us.
Or if I'm a genius, because that's usually the way it is. And geniuses usually test.
we want all kinds of comments, criticism, whatever, man. Send it in. We love it. So I'm running the show again tonight for everybody, just so you know. The schedule release is one of my favorite nerdy things about football. Wayne is really a draft nerd, so this is kind of my thing, sort of. So I'm gonna take you on this ride of what most NFL fans, people who follow the sport, do. Every year when the schedule comes out, look at the schedule, you do wins and losses, like, oh, I think we're going to win this team, we're going to lose it against this team, so on and so forth. I've done it every year of my life watching football. I'm not totally sure if Wayne has. If not, he's going to start with me now. So we're going to break down both of our teams' schedules, the Broncos, the Patriots, go by game, predict who wins and loses, the over-under, and then we'll get into some other topics. Wayno, so what's your thoughts about all this?
It's definitely not something I've really dived or dove, whatever the past tense of dive.
Dove.
I've never really gone into it. It's just boring to me. I don't know. It's a book report. It's, whereas the draft to me is a gym class on floor hockey day. It's fun and it's exciting. And then schedule release is dissecting a worm. It is just like looking at nothing and whatever. I don't know. Here's what I do every year. I go, either we're going to be good or we're going to be bad. And I'm usually wrong.
All right. Well, every year, Wayne, like I was saying, I used to do it with my dad growing up. We just look at the schedule. You predict wins and losses. I was usually very wrong on my predictions most years, which I'll probably be this year, which I kind of hope I am, because everybody predicts Broncos will be terrible, and we might just be. And same with your Patriots. Okay, so how do you want to start, Wayne? You want to start with the Broncos first, or do you want to start with the Patriots?
Either way, both of these teams are bad. Let's start with whichever one you want.
Okay, well, let's start with my Broncos since I'm running stuff. All right, we'll go week by week. I'll say my pick. You say yours. I didn't do any scores. I just did wins or losses. Okay, so first week, we play at Seattle on the road. First game of the season. I think that's a loss.
I have it as a win. I actually think Seattle is going to be a top 5 pick this year. I think that they're going to have a bad year.
You do? Okay, I just think that first game out the chute, like I told you, my prediction is that I don't think Bo Nix is starting right away. I think he maybe starts week 5. So this is going to be the Zach Wilson show. And I think he's going to go to Seattle and play like Zach Wilson and lose.
Okay.
Okay, the next game, our home opener against you-know-who, Wayno, Russell Wilson and the Steelers. I say that's a win.
I have it as a loss because, let's face it, the Steelers last year were a playoff team with Kenny Pickett, as their quarterback, and it was bad. Russell Wilson is actually a serviceable quarterback. That means he gives them an extra 2 wins on top of what they had last year, because that defense is coming back fully healthy. and they added Pete Wilson at linebacker. So the Steelers, I know that you want in your heart for it to be a win, but we know in your brain it's a loss.
I should just first say by saying is I think with going with Wilson and going with Knicks most of the year, I don't think they're going to do really well on the road. I think if they win any game, it's going to be at home. So I just have this as a win, like maybe a moral win, like, hey, we might not have any wins this year, but hey, we're going to beat Russ. Okay, so the next week we go on the road and play Tampa. I think that's a loss. Like I said, on the road, rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a loss. Baker Mayfield just got his big contract. He earned it. He's going to keep earning it. He's got all his weapons there. So I think, Tampa Bay in Tampa, this is an easy win for the Bucs.
Right. And then we stay on the road and we go and play my favorite quarterback in the league. And everybody thinks it's Russ, but it's not. It's Aaron fucking Rodgers, and we got to play him in New York this time. I say that's a loss.
I have that as a win. I think the Jets are going to jet this year. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to make much of a difference. So I have the Jets losing this game to the Broncos.
Oh, very interesting. I didn't expect you to be so opposite of me, Wayno. All right. Okay, so the next week we go back home. We play Vegas. I think that's a win. I think we're finally going to get over that hump of losing to the Raiders 7 straight years. I think it's been, or not 7 straight years. Yeah, forget exactly. But we've lost them a bunch of times, and we're in that streak this year.
Okay, I think this is a win as well. Again, I don't really believe in that Raiders team. I do like Gardner Minshew, and I do like Jacoby Myers, and I do like Devontae Adams. I like what they have kind of there, but I just don't believe in that team. That's another team, along with Seattle, that I think is fighting for a top 5 pick. So I think this is a win for the Broncos.
Huh. Okay. Then we stay home, and we play the Chargers against Justin Herbert. And these are the games, Wayno, that I think maybe Bo might start. So he's already got his first loss under his belt against the Raiders. And his first win against the Raiders, sorry. But then we play the Chargers, and I think he gets his first loss.
Okay, I have the Chargers, and this is a win for the Broncos. So this is a 3-game winning streak here for the Broncos. At this point in the season, ooh, I have them at 4-2 here at this point in the season because they have won 3 in a row. They won the first game of the season. So I have them beating the Chargers.
Okay, so I should ask, Wayne, when you were picking these, did you have Bo Nix starting in mind? I kind of didn't have him starting in my scenario.
I don't think it matters. He's not an upgrade over Zach Wilson. I mean, not this year. Maybe long term, obviously, but not this year. He's not. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Right. Okay. Cool. Okay, so then we go on the road, play our first primetime game against Sean Payton's old rival, or not old rival, but his old stomping grounds in New Orleans on Thursday Night Football. And I think they get the best of us because they know him well. They know how he plays. Dennis Allen is a defensive mind. He's going to shut down whatever Sean's going to do and kill our mojo in New Orleans that night. That's a loss.
I think it's a loss as well. I'm a big Derek Carr fan. All Derek Carr does every year is complete 71% of his passes for 4,000 yards. So he's boring to watch because he's a game manager, but he wins games, and he's going to win this one.
All right. Then we go home, and we play Carolina, which I think that's an easy win.
So here's the struggle I have with Carolina. I think it's a win as well. But Carolina can't go 1-16 this year or 2-15. They just can't. You know what I mean? They've got to win games. And yet every time we have them in a matchup, it's going to be a loss. We're like, oh, Carolina, that's a loss. But they aren't going to lose every game. So they're going to win some of these.
True. Okay, then we go on a very tough road stretch. We go to Baltimore and play Lamar. Early game. We never do good early on the East Coast. So I say that's a loss.
Not just a loss, a blowout loss. This is going to be Lamar Jackson, starting his MVP campaign.
Oh, this is Wayno. Okay, then we go to dreaded Kansas City and play Mahomes in his house. I think that's another loss.
Of course it's a loss. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's the best quarterback in the NFL. That's a loss.
All right. And we're starting to agree on some now. Okay, so then the next game we play at home, another tough game against Kirky Cousins and the Falcons. I say that's another loss.
Yep. Chalking them up. Another loss. We got Kyle Pitts is going to have a big year. We got Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and you got Kirk Cousins. It's a loss. And maybe even Kirk Cousins is out this game. Maybe he gets hurt. And you got Michael Penix coming in. Doesn't matter. It's a loss for the Broncos.
All right, then we play our only other primetime game Monday. No, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. My fault. Our next game is in Vegas against the Raiders. I say that's a loss. I think we split against them this year.
I think it's a loss as well. Like you said, it's both teams are bad, but I think that the Raiders are less bad. So I think that they win at home.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so the next, so as I was getting to our second primetime game, our only other primetime game on Monday Night Football against the Browns at home. That defense, man, is really tough for a rookie quarterback, even at home. I think that's a loss.
I have it as a win. I don't know if it's going to be Deshaun Watson. I don't know if it's going to be, DTR. I don't know who's going to be the quarterback at this point for the Browns. I don't love the Browns team. They're not going to have Chubb. I don't know because how's he going to come back?
Right.
So they have no running game to lean on. You can't have a defensive team without a running game. So I think I think the Browns are actually going to surprise people and end up with like 5 or 6 wins this year. And this is going to be one of their losses to the Broncos.
Honestly, Wado, this was one of the ones I kind of went back and forth. I almost thought this was a win because I was like, maybe, like all the things you just said, maybe no Deshaun, no Chubb, they were beat up really bad last year. They might have the same thing happen. So, but I still put it as a loss, but I see all your points for sure. Then we go in, then we have a bye. We have a really late bye. Week 14, probably the latest you can have it in a season, which really sucks. Then we go home and we play Indy. I think that's a win. And the reason I think it's a win is because of the extra bye week. Sean will get Bo extra prepared, and we'll come out and win that game.
I have that as a loss. Anthony Richardson is a superstar in this league. He's 6'5", he's 240. He's like Cam Newton, but more accurate, throws a tighter spiral. This Colts team is going to be so good this year. It's going to be really good. I can't wait till we do their schedule because Anthony Richardson, as long as he's healthy, that's a team that could win 12, 13, 14 games.
You like him. I didn't realize you had so much faith in Anthony Richardson. We know.
Yep.
Okay, so then we go back on the road and we play the Chargers in SoFi, and I think this is a win because they don't really have a home crowd or home advantage in LA. That's basically like a home game for the Broncos. Usually every year, I'm counting that as a win.
Well, I'm calling it a loss, and I'll tell you why. Because they may not have a home team, but they have Justin Herbert, and that's better than anything the Broncos have. So that's going to be a loss. Probably expect the Chargers to put up 45 or 50 on them.
Another 50 burger on us. Damn, Wayno. All right. Then we stay on the road, and we go to Cincinnati and play Joe Burrow, but who knows if he's going to be healthy, right? You always say he's hurt, but then you say this is his healthy year, so I'm kind of banking on being a healthy year. So I'm going to say this is a loss in Cincinnati.
I say it's a healthy year too. I don't know what's going to happen with T. Higgins. He still hasn't signed the franchise tag. He wants to be traded. He does not want to play it in Cincinnati. I don't think that matters. They still have Jamar Chase. They're going to be just fine. And like you said, this is the healthy year for Joe Burrow. So this is probably an AFC championship run for him. And Broncos lose this one.
And then the last game of the year is Kansas City at home. This one I kind of went back and forth on because there's 2 different scenarios. Kansas City could be battling it out for like the top seed in the AFC, or they could be blowing every team out and have the best record and not play any starters. So I'm going with the first one I mentioned is that they're fighting for the first seed, and we will lose to the Chiefs.
Yeah, with only one team getting a bye now and not 2 teams, I think there's a lot more battle going into that final week. Even if you have 13, 14 wins, you're probably trying to fend off a team that has 12 or 13 wins. So I think that the Chiefs starters are playing this game at least the first half, which means it'll be 24-3 at the half, and then they can play whoever they want. But this game's over with. The Chiefs are winning that one.
All right, so we agree. So my overall, I had us at 5-12.
I have 6-11, so not too far off.
Not too far off. You were a little bit more hopeful than I am, Wayno. I'm surprised by that for sure.
Well, I'll just play each game one game at a time.
All right. So now we're gonna break down your New England Patriots. You want to go? You name them off, and I'll go with you.
At Cincinnati Bengals, the first week.
I think that's a loss. Healthy Joe Burrow.
Yep, exactly. Healthy Joe Burrow, Drake May, Jacoby Brissett, rookie head coach. This Patriots seems to be bad. You're going to hear a lot of L's. If you're a Patriots fan, you're going to be hearing a lot of L's.
Now, this whole episode, Wayne, are both our teams. LLL.
Now, before we get too far down, we got John Peebles joining the chats. John, what's up? He says, "What's up, fellas?"
What up, John?
And then he says, "Not happening. Raiders winning the West." John, I love your optimism, but I do not think so.
I don't think so either.
Week 2, we have home against the Seattle Seahawks.
I think that's a loss.
I have that as a win. Again, the Seahawks are going to be bad this year. They're going to be surprisingly bad, despite having all those weapons on offense. So I think that's a win for the Patriots, 1-1, going into week 3, which is at the Jets.
I think this is a win. You have it as a loss.
I do. It's a Thursday night game.
And that's kind of why I think it might be a win. For some reason, the Patriots are one of those weird teams, Wayne. Like, they win on the Thursday night games when nobody usually wins those Thursday night games. So I think they will win that one. And it's Rodgers, and I think Mayo, from learning all the Belichick knowledge, I think he's going to shut him down.
I don't know. I am not hopeful on that game. I do think that's going to be a loss. And then do we even have to mention at the 49ers the following week? I mean, blowout city.
Got to mention them all, Wayne. That is a loss. I agree.
And then we have home again to the Miami Dolphins. I have this as a loss.
Wait, you forgot the Niners. Oh, no, we did say
the Niners.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I say Miami's a loss also.
All right. So now we're at this point in the season, we're 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 1-4. And then we bring on at home against the Texans. Hey, who doesn't want to face CJ Stroud at home in front of a home crowd so they can get blown out and lose another game? I have the Texans winning this one.
I have Texans winning that one also. Wayne, that's an L.
Then we go at Jacksonville and we get Trevor Lawrence, fighting for that contract if he hasn't gotten it by now. And I have them losing to the Jaguars.
This is a London game. I don't know if you are. Is it London or is it a different country? Yeah, London, because it's Jacksonville. That's right. I think you guys upset Jacksonville in London.
Well,
so I say that's your second win.
So I think at this point now we're 1-6, and then we play the Jets at home. This is a win. We finally get a win here against the Jets. It's at home. The Jets are going to jet. They're going to be bad, so I give them a win here.
Yeah, I give them a win on this one also, Wayne. I think they sweep the Jets this year.
And people says Jets, and it says Bill isn't there anymore. And I guess he's talking about Mayo having the team ready. He isn't there anymore. And then against Miami, I think he says depends on the temperature. I think this Miami game is at home. It's in New England, so it won't be too hot. They play usually Miami late in the season. Going to a bunch of snowbirds go down to that game. And let's see. He has Pats. I'm guessing that means Pats 3-13. I'm not going to be far off, buddy. I'm not going to be far off. So let's dive back into the schedule here. They just won against the Jets. Now we have at the Titans.
I think this is a win. This is just one of those gut feelings, Wayne. I couldn't tell you why I think they'll win. But I feel like maybe Mayo. I think Mayo learned a lot from Belichick. That's what I'm getting at, John, is that he learned a lot from him, and he's gonna coach defense the same way. So I feel like a lot of the same teams that Belichick had success against, Mayo might have the similar success. Who knows? It's just a gut feeling. And Will Levis is technically still a rookie quarterback, and I think that Mayo is going to get the best of him.
I like that you said still technically, when technically he's not. Figuratively he is, but he is definitely a good quarterback, got a great arm. He's got lots of weapons over there. But I picked a win as well for the Patriots here. And you know what the reasoning is? Because the Titans are boring. That's why they're going to lose. Boring teams lose.
Because they're boring.
And then we have at Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams, and I have them losing to Caleb Williams.
I have them losing to Caleb Williams also because it's an early, but maybe cold game in October. Yeah, I say that's a loss.
Now, I will say this, that if Bill was still there, he has like a 63-1 record against rookie quarterbacks. So if he was there, then definitely I would put it in the Patriots, but he's not. Mayo doesn't have that record against rookie quarterbacks, and Caleb Williams is a really special player. So at this point, Caleb Williams is in the playoff hunt. I think he wins this game. And then we get home against the Rams. And again, I have a loss. This Rams team is good. Sean McVay is good. I think this is a loss.
I think it's a loss also. I think the Rams are going to be one of those surprise teams this year, Wayne. I think, like, when I say surprise, I'm like top seed in the NFC type of good next year. That's kind of my prediction for them. Yeah, so I think that's a loss for you guys.
And then we have John here says it will be the dyslexic season for the Pats. It has been for the past couple of years. I mean, it's been really bad. And then win against the Bears. See, I don't know, John. I disagree with you. I know there's a lot of people who don't like Caleb Williams. I think John is in that camp. I do think Caleb Williams is an absolutely special player who's going to win a lot of games, and this is going to be one of them. And then we have at the Dolphins. Now, this is where the weather matters, all right? And it's probably going to be 85, 90 at this point of the season. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It's the Dolphins. That high-octane offense, they might drop 40 on this Patriots team.
Yep, I'd say that's a loss, too, for your Patriots. Yep, too many weapons in Miami, for sure.
And then we go to the Colts, or we're home against the Colts, and I have this as another loss. I mentioned Anthony Richardson. I think he shreds these guys. He might have 340, 450 passing, something like that.
Yeah, I think there's another loss. I should be honest with you, Wayne. I don't have any more wins left. I gave you guys 3 wins, and I named them off already.
I did have a win left, but I might take it back. But we are at the Cardinals. Healthy Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. Kyler Murray, that Cardinals team, they aren't the team they were last year. Like, this is the team that could get 10 wins this year. Like, they're a good Cardinals team. They're going to beat the Patriots.
Yep, I think that's a loss for the Patriots. You're saying that's a win?
No. They're going to beat the Patriots.
Okay, so that's a loss. Okay, yeah, I say a loss too.
At the Bills, I mean, come on. Josh Allen, that Bills team, that's
no Belichick. Yep, nope. Loss.
Then we have home to the Chargers, and if the Chargers are going to shred the Broncos, they're going to shred the Patriots too, and it's just going to be Justin Herbert show.
Yikes! And then loss.
I actually had them getting a win the last game of the season at home against the Bills, but as I mentioned, that was before I did my AFC East schedule, and the Bills are not going to win this division, so they are not going to sit their players, and that's going to be another loss. So I have the Patriots going 3-14.
Me as well. And so it's funny that we both said the same thing about the Bills and the Chiefs, that they're both going to be fighting for that number 1 seed. I like that.
Well, I mean, the Bills won't be, but they're going to have to play their players. The number 1 seed, I think, is going to come down to a couple other teams. Way up here. Oh, John says Rams versus Lions NFC final. I don't hate it. I'm thinking Packers. I think Jordan Love, year 2. I think he's going to be in the NFC Championship game.
Rams Lions, that's interesting. It's got some plot lines to it too. I like it.
And then we have that's a lot of credit on Richardson for him not playing much. Now, what I saw last year when he did play, I think he's better than Stroud. I think he is the best quarterback in that draft class. So there we go.
All right, Wayno. So we're going to move on to the next topic. After going over these schedules, we're going to break down them a little bit more. So my next topic would be, what do you think the toughest stretch of games is for the Pats on your schedule?
The toughest stretch of games, it starts with the Bears. It ends with the Bills. That is an 0-8 stretch. So that's they're coming off a win against the Titans, and then they lose every game for the last 8 games of the season.
That is a bad stretch. Okay, so my toughest stretch is when we start off on the road in Baltimore. We lose to Baltimore, we lose to Kansas City, we lose to Atlanta, we lose to the Raiders, we lose to the Browns, and then our only savior is our bye week. That's our toughest stretch next year.
I had that as your toughest stretch as well. I had you guys going 1-5 with that 1 win to the Browns, and then losing all the rest.
To be honest, Wayne, I didn't really like I think your schedule is going to be rough because your division is really tough. You got Miami and you got Buffalo. You got to deal with both of them twice. It's like us. Like, we have to deal with the Chiefs and the Chargers. Like, it's hard, man. So yeah, if I had to look at it and pick, I would say the last end of the stretch where you got to play Buffalo, Chargers, and then Buffalo again. That's going to be tough.
Now, I do have John People says, how about all of us picking games against the supercomputer? Now, I'm glad you brought up the supercomputer, John. It is going to come back this year. The supercomputer takes many, many things into account, and it comes up with a score for each team, but it doesn't predict anything. It only tells you how good the team has been. So 8 games into the season, it will tell you who the best team is, and it's not going to be the 8-0 team usually, but that's the best team based on how they've played. It won't predict anything. It doesn't mean they're going to win the next game or win the Super Bowl. It's not a predictive algorithm. It's a what happened algorithm.
Okay, since we talked about the toughest stretch, what do you think is the easiest stretch of games for your Patriots and for my Broncos?
The easiest stretch of games for the Patriots is going to be the Jets and the Titans, 2-0. And then the easiest stretch for the Broncos, I said it was that first 6 games. They go 4-2 in the first 6 games.
Okay, so my easy stretch, like I told you, even though I don't think we win both the games, is the 2 games at home against the Raiders and the Chargers. I feel like that Charger game we lose like by a field goal or something fluky. I don't know. That's kind of what my gut that says. Yeah. And then your guys' easiest stretch is like where I thought is your Jets Tennessee stretch is when you play the Jets at home and then you go in Tennessee on the road. I think those are both wins, so I think that's your easiest stretch.
All right, that's fair. And then we have Buck is chiming in now. So Buck says the supercomputer is junk. And again, yeah, it is not a predictive computer. And he says he's going to put together a supercomputer that makes picks. Well, I can't wait to see how it performs. It'll probably be better than me. I'm awful at making picks, so it'll definitely beat me out. And then John says, okay, so pick the score, BS supercomputer. I can tell you what they're averaging.
Got some fans of your computer here, Wayno.
And then we have Man Hour Buck says, you mean the Super Bowl bound Jets? Let's not get crazy.
No way. No way.
The Pats 3-13. I think I had 3-14. Buck. It's a 17 game season, and I have them 3-14, and I think Mark does as well. And then we have the Raiders are kicking ass and taking names this year. Enough with the dreams. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 14-3 for the Patriots there, John. All right. So back to reality.
All right. Next topic. What do you think is the toughest home game and toughest away game for your Patriots?
Toughest home game is October 13th against the Texans. They're going to get absolutely pounded against the Texans. Road game, San Francisco, not even close.
Yeah, I say San Francisco also, and I say the Rams for their home one.
Okay. Could be the Colts, too. Anthony Richardson.
And then for my Broncos, I think the easiest did I write that down?
No, toughest home and away.
The toughest away game is definitely Baltimore, and our toughest home game I think is going to be Atlanta.
So I think your toughest away game is going to be the Bengals. I think healthy Joe Burrow is going to make that one tough. And then I have the toughest home game, Russell Wilson returning home to shred the Broncos.
Of course you have that one, Wayne. Of course you do. Okay, sorry. Back to the rundown. Okay, this is my favorite one, Wayne. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this next topic, because I know you're the type that you don't really go to games. You said you haven't really gone to games, so I'm curious if you actually had to pick one home game to go to and one away game to go to for the Patriots, what would they be?
So I was trying to decide why I would ever go to a football game. And the only way I would is if the tickets were cheap. And as we know, NFL tickets are the most expensive tickets, it feels like.
Yeah.
So I said, what would be the cheapest game? So I have home against the Seahawks, away against the Titans. So 2 games that nobody's going to attend. Those are the ones I would go to.
So you went strictly off budget.
Yep.
I was wondering how you were going to do it, Wayne. I was like, how is he going to pick? I know he's going to do some sort of math. It's going to be math related. I knew it. So I called you out. I called it, dude. And of course, you went under the budget. All right. I respect that. Okay, so I usually only go to one game a year, Wayne. This is kind of why I thought of the question. And in the years past, I used to always try to go to an away game. Also, I don't really do that anymore. I'm trying to get back onto that kick and doing that again. So my home game, I'm actually going to the Pittsburgh Broncos game, the Rust game.
Nice.
So that's the home game I'm picking. And if I had to pick an away game, before I say my game, I should mention first that this is a game that I've been wanting to go to for years. I will plan on going. If I ever do go to another road game soon, this will be the trip that I go to. Been wanting to do it for years. I've been wanting to go to Kansas City for the game in Kansas City. I want to go there. I want to have some good barbecue. I know we're going to get our ass kicked. I don't really care about that. I've always heard that the fans there are really nice, so I won't have to deal with some asshole fucking with me. So I've always wanted to go to that game. So if I had to pick an away game, that would be my away game.
Well, I will say this is that, again, when I was picking for the Broncos, again, I went with budget for the home game. I went with the Panthers because I figured that's going to be the least desirable game. But for away game, I'm spending some money, and I'm going to New Orleans.
You kind of have to, Wayne.
Yeah, voodoo. I mean, it's going to be awesome. I'm just going to New Orleans. I might not even go to the game. I'll just be trashed and throwing beads at people.
Okay, well, mine's a 2-for-1 for you, Wayne. Mine's technically it's a home game for you guys. I don't know how they figure these things out, but basically your home and away game would be in the same one, and it's the London game because technically you guys are the home team, and I've never been to London, and to see you guys possibly beat Jacksonville in London, I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah, get some fish and chips.
Fish and chips, do the whole English thing. Have some Guinnesses, some pints, Yes, that sounds very good to me.
I got to throw a couple of comments up here real quick. We get, let's see. So John again with the Raiders, 12-5. We're getting to the Raiders schedule, John. We're not going to hold back on it. We're going to let you know what we think.
Yep.
And then he says, pick the final four now if you ain't scared. I don't know. I'm going to say Green Bay, and then I got to really think about the rest. Kansas City on the AFC. And then let's see. He says, how much is it to watch Man Hour Buck? How much is it to watch? I'm not sure. And where Russell stomps Sean Payton's ass. When's that? Oh, yeah. And the Steelers.
Yeah, when I go to the game, he's probably referencing. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get to those teams. Our next topic is we're going to break down the rest of the teams in our division. So let's start off with your AFC East, Wayne. Well, like I said, just do the over-unders, but go for it. I want you to go first.
Well, it's not so much an over-under. I'll just give you the record that I came up with here. I got the Jets at 8-9. That's going to be the worst team. So I guess that's not horrible. I said the Jets are going to jet. 8-9 isn't as bad as it could be. It's not 3-14. So they're going to be 8-9. I have the Buffalo Bills at 10-7, and they're going to finish second in this division because the Miami Dolphins are going to go 13-4 and win the AFC East.
Ooh. Okay. They're similar. Okay, so I have you guys at 3-14. I got the Jets at 8-9. I got Bills winning the division at 11-6, and I have Miami actually at 10-7.
Okay, so quite a few losses for those teams.
Yes, I think because it's a tough division, like I was saying earlier, Wayne. I think you guys are gonna have to battle it out with each other. Or, it's tough.
Well, despite having the Dolphins go 13-4, despite having the Dolphins go 13-4, I do have them losing both games in division to the Bills. So the Bills are going to sweep them, but they're still only going to win 10 games.
Okay, so they're going to get the record. Win the division by the record. Gotcha.
Correct.
All right. So AFC West. Of course, I have my Broncos dead last with 5-12. Then the Raiders and the Chargers are going to tie for 7-10, and of course, the Chiefs are going to win the division at 12-5.
Well, as I mentioned, we had the Broncos, or I had the Broncos at 6-11. Guess what, John? I have the Raiders at 6-11. You guys are going to be tied for last. And let me see. I think you split with them, so it's going to come down to score differential to see who gets the higher pick. And then I have the Chargers at 8-9, so there's that Jets kind of recordish. And I have the Chiefs at 14-3, winning the entire AFC.
All right. So I did have a couple more topics, Wayne, since we have some more time. Okay, so this is one of those classes, quarterback classes, where it could be really epic or it could not be. So I kind of did some research of quarterbacks that had really good rookie years and some that didn't really have rookie years that's so great. And maybe we can just talk about them and think maybe these new guys can maybe be possibly be compared to the old guys. So
Okay.
I just put up the top names that I think are, like, in my eyes, the top quarterbacks. So I have Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Dan Marino, John Elway. And then I have the new guys, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson, and Herbert. So let me just break down their rookie schedules, or not schedules, but the way they did in their rookie year. So Manning, he started every game 3-13, 26 touchdowns, 28 interceptions. He owns that record. Then you have Drew Brees. He didn't start his first year, started his second year. He went 8-8. He had 17 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Tom Brady, he played 14 games, 11-3, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Dan Marino only played 9 games. He went 7-2, 20 interceptions, 6 interceptions. 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Sorry. Elway played only 10 games. He went 4-6, 7 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Mahomes, crazy Mahomes. You can't even put Mahomes in this category because he had 50 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Absolutely crazy. Then you got Josh Allen. He played 11 games. He went 5-6, 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Joe Burrow, he played 10 games, went 2-7-1, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And then you have Lamar Jackson. He only played 7 games. He had 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And then you had Herbert, another outstanding rookie year, went 6-9, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So hearing all these numbers, Wayno, what do you think this new class will do?
So I have to pick one of the quote unquote vets / legends to as the comp for the new class, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Caleb Williams, Patrick Mahomes. That's going to be the go-to. I think Caleb Williams, that they've set him up so well with so many weapons there that he's going to throw 35 touchdowns and probably 10 picks. Like, he's going to have a great year. Tom Brady, I'm going to say JJ McCarthy. He's a game manager. That first year, Brady just let the defense do the job, and all he had to do was not make mistakes. And I think that's exactly what McCarthy did all through college. So I expect the same there as well. Drew Brees, I'm going to assign to Michael Penix because neither of them is going to play as a rookie. So they're both the same there. I'm not going off the stats. And then Bo Nix. Drake May. Oh my goodness, Drake May. I'm gonna give him Peyton Manning with a 25 and 28. He's a gunslinger. He could be Josh Allen too. Actually, probably closer to Josh Allen because I don't think he's gonna start right away, but he's gonna come and he's gonna throw a lot of picks. So that's my comp: Josh Allen / Peyton Manning, gunslinging, throwing lots of picks, and then Bo Nix. Again, I don't think he's gonna play right away. I'll give him Lamar Jackson numbers.
Okay. And that's kind of why I brought this up, Wayne, is I'm curious, since you know so much about the draft stuff, how these guys are going to compare to, some of the older players. And I'm kind of with you. I don't think Bo's going to start right away. I think 6-1, I would take that, actually, Wayne. 6 TDs, 3 interceptions, I would be okay with that. That would mean that he's efficient. He would be exactly what James said last week on the show, boring.
Yeah, the big difference with Lamar is he had the legs. So even though he only had 6 touchdowns, he probably had 5 or 6 rushing.
Right. Okay. So I'm glad that I saved us. This is purposely why I went through we went through those topics quick because I have a lot to say. Wayno has a lot to say on this next topic. This is going to be our 2-minute warning. That's going to be like long. So extended 2-minute warning. And our thoughts are going to be about Harrison Butker and his comments that he made at a commencement speech. Before I get into what I want to say, Wayno, you go ahead.
Well, I will say this. I did write about this, so if you want to read my thoughts about it, I'm a very eloquent writer. It's probably said better in print than it will be here on the microphone. It is called an article by Stadium Brand called Harrison Butker Has a Right to Be an Asshole. So This obviously it's a story that has many, many layers to it, and we can tackle one at a time if you want. So let's tackle the first layer to me, which is the assholeness of it. All right. Obviously, he is a devout Christian. That's fine. I have no problem with him being a devout Christian. He's speaking at a Christian university and he's talking about Christian stuff. Specifically, we'll start off with when he talked about having pride in God. And he said, not the kind of pride that has that's deadly sin that has a month, dedicated to it, which he was talking about the month of June, gay pride. And right off the bat, I understand that there's a lot of religious Bible thumpers out there who believe that being gay is a sin. That's fine. And that's, what else is a sin? Lying. And we all lie. You know what else is a sin? Stealing. And we've all stolen. None of us are perfect. That, if you believe in religion, which I'll let everyone know right now, I'm agnostic. I don't believe really in anything. But if you believe in what Jesus dying for your sins, it's because we sin. So why would a gay person, if that is a sin, and I'm not saying it is, but if it is, why is that sin worse than stealing or lying? Like, it's not. Sins are sins, right? So why are you being judgy of him? In the Bible, it says, whoever, is without sin, cast the first stone. Well, nobody should be throwing stones, but I see a lot of stones being thrown at the rainbow flag. So that's my first take on the first part of his speech.
And I'm to the degree of actually what he's talking about. For me, Wayne, this all came to a surprise. Like, this is why it went viral, is because this guy, nobody knew that he had these views. And all of a sudden he decides to spit them out in his speech and his commencement. And for me, it's like, where did it come from? Like, did he just want to just get this out, that he's just had it on his chest for so long? He's like, I can't hold it in. I got to tell everybody so everybody knows this about me. That's what I didn't understand.
And I think it has to do with, there's different denominations of Christianity. And I think that this has to do with him being Catholic, I believe. And Catholics and well, actually Baptists are probably the worst. Sorry if you're Baptist, are probably the worst. And then Catholics are right behind them. And in terms of being judgy and critical, and the thing I use as an example is look at Tim Tebow. Like, we all know Tebow was like the spokesperson for God, Jesus 2.0. Like, he is the guy. And I never heard Jesus talk about anything. Not Jesus. Let's call him Jesus now. I never heard Tebow mention anything about gay. He didn't touch it. Like, that was a topic he stayed away from. And if you listen to Tebow talk too about being religious, he actually is very Christ-like in the sense that he was always like, be kind to each other. You know what I mean? I just want to be nice to these people, or I just want to be kind to these people. I want to help these people. It was never about, I'm better because I believe this. He never was like that. And I think that there's a lot of Harrison Butkers out there who think that they're better because of their beliefs. I would like to see more Tebows out there who are just spreading, love to everybody.
Positivity instead of negative. Yep.
Yeah. So, and again, I'll kind of go into the second part. So the first part was the gay thing, which that was the first problem I had with him bringing that up. Second, all right, ladies, listen, Harrison Butker, said, listen, you're all graduating, you're getting your degrees. It's a great accomplishment. But you're going to be so much happier once you become a wife and start spitting out babies. That's your true calling in life. And I don't think that flew. Nobody was cheering at this Christian college for those comments. And I do know that the Bible kind of talks about the man is the top guy and the women has to do whatever. But I will say this, and I didn't like the comments, obviously, because it sounds like he's a dummy and he doesn't know how to put his words together. But that said, I'll defend him in this. I thought that what he was trying to say was that if you do want to be a stay-at-home mom, that's okay. Don't feel like you have to go out into the workforce if you don't want to. And I think that that's an okay message. Like, be happy with who you are. If you want to be a wife, be a wife. But it sounded like he was saying that's your natural place.
Yeah, he made it sound like all your place is to have babies and to be a homemaker and not be successful. The man's supposed to be successful, and like, you're supposed to just be in your place. That's what I didn't like.
No, it was very, very, again, male chauvinistic or whatever, sexist, the way it came across. And so that's that. So now we've talked about, those are the two things that he said that got all the press and that was controversial. Now, what I say in my piece, and I'm going to say it again here, and I'm sure that you'll agree with me on this, right, is that even though I disagree with what he said, he has a right to say it. So he is out there. He's saying, hey, these are my views. I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic. I'm at a Catholic school. I'm going to say Catholic things. Fine. Like, you have a right to do that. You still could choose your words better. Choose your words like Tebow did. Don't choose them like you did. But you have a right to say that. And so I defend his right to say that. And I do want to say all those people who say that, like, calling for him to be fired. So that's the first part of this. But just shut up, okay? Signing petitions. What are we, 11 years old? Signing a petition is like coloring in a coloring book. It doesn't mean anything. So
not gonna
just shut up.
Yeah.
These people that are complaining. So I don't know your thoughts on these people saying that he should be fired for this, because I didn't think he should be.
No, I agree with you on that. Like, everybody, we have the freedom of speech. It's one of our rights, and we should all be glad that we have that right. So even if this guy, I don't agree with what he said, I don't agree with any of what he said, he still has the right to spit out this dumb shit. But yeah, I don't agree with any of it that he said. And the thing I think is hilarious about this, Wayne, is he says all this stuff about women, and then one of the women that owns the Chiefs came out and was okay with what he said, which I don't understand. And then the school that he had it at, they after the speech was over, they were like, "Oh, we didn't basically saying like we didn't advocate for him to say any of that." Like, they basically backed away from the whole thing because they were shocked that he had said all that.
Yeah, and it's again, it's just crazy. It's multifaceted in that sense. So when we talk about the Chiefs firing him or the school backing away from it, a lot of it has to do with your brand, right? I don't think the Chiefs should fire him for saying those things. I don't think that that's a fireable offense. Now, that said, if the Chiefs do feel like this would hurt their business somehow and they decide to part ways with him because of that, that's their right. They have that right to do that, and I would support their right. But I don't think you say, hey, you said this, you're fired. It's got to be like, hey, listen, man, if we keep you on the team, this is going to happen. We got picketers out there. We just can't deal with it. You're a kicker. It's not worth the headache,
Well, yeah, it's funny because everybody just jokes about it. It's like, oh, he's a kicker. Nobody's even going to remember this later on in the year. But there's going to be people that remember, dude. And there will be picketers and there will be people protesting every Chiefs game now. They're going to have to deal with that. I promise. Because I remember the whole thing with Tebow, because we had him here in Denver. And we had all the people that were against him and all the anti-abortion people and all that stuff. And it's just, you can't get involved in religion. And like I told you off air, religion and politics and all this stuff is really touchy stuff to talk about, So I always try to proceed with caution.
Yeah, well, again, because you have those people who, it's like being Republican or Democrat. Let's go into another hot, water situation, right?
Uh-oh.
But, you pick a side and then you feel like you have to agree with everything that side says and be a spokesperson for that side. Like, that's the problem with having political parties, is that it takes away your free thought. You have to think what they think. Well, I think with a lot of these Christian groups is that they may not believe it, let's say, but they have to say it because they're aligned with that group. And that's, again, one of the things I liked about Tebow is Tebow was like, I don't speak for you. Like, these people that were coming out were like, oh, anti-abortion, whatever. He's like, listen,
right,
great. If you believe in God, I support you and believe in God, but I'm not speaking for you. I'm not your spokesperson. I speak for me. And I kind of respect that, because it's like, hey, I'm not here to represent any religion. I'm just here to talk about me.
Okay, so what do you think happens to him? Do you think they at some point part ways? Do you think he remains a Chief? Do you think we all just forget about it at some point?
I think winning cures everything. Kobe Bryant was arrested and tried for raping somebody.
Yep.
And then he won 2 championships and went to 3 championships. And before you knew it, he's the most beloved player in the league. Right. So, and by the way, he's my favorite player. So I'm not trying to trash Kobe if you guys are, he's my favorite player. But he did have to face that adversity. I was like, what do the Lakers do? Do they keep him? He's been charged with rape. Now the case was dismissed, right? And all that, but still, it's out there.
Right.
But he was loved by the end. Butker hits 90% of his kicks. You know what I mean? 100% of his extra points. At the end of the day, if the Chiefs go 14-3, like I predicted, nobody's going to care about what he said. Not even the most left-wing, what do you right-wing people call them? Libtard, snowflake, woke people. Like, none of them are going to care about, what he said. It's going to be water under the bridge.
So you're in the vein of all those other people that are like, oh, he's the kicker and he's a winner kicker. So let's just forget about that. And you're right. It's probably exactly what's going to happen. For sure.
It is what's. I'm not saying that's what should happen. That's just the way that life plays itself out.
No, you're definitely right, Wayne, for sure. And that's just sad, because it's just like people are just gonna forget about this, and I kind of hope people don't forget about it, and we keep hearing about this next season, and hopefully his ass is out of the NFL soon.
Well, if I'm going to make an honest prediction, this will not be the last we hear from Harrison Butker. So it's not going to go away on
don't
its
doubt
own.
not.
He's going to get back in front of a microphone and say some stuff. But I do want to say this. So we talked about rights. He has a right, freedom of speech, all that stuff, right? And I touch on this in the article. So again, please read the article on Stadium Rant.
Yes, read
Harrison
it.
Butker has a right to be an asshole. So the discussion about rights is if you get fired from your job for expressing your freedom of speech, your freedom of speech was not violated. Okay. If you get kicked out of your house because of something you posted on Facebook, your freedom of speech has not been violated. Okay. Freedoms in the Bill of Rights, in the Constitution, mean that you cannot be criminally prosecuted for your freedom of speech. Anything else is fair game, right? But you cannot be criminally prosecuted. So if I go to work and I say, F you, boss, right? He can fire me for saying that, even though I'm exercising my freedom of speech, right? He didn't violate my freedom of speech because I'm not going to get arrested for saying it. Now, our rights do have restrictions, and they should, because an absolute right is total chaos. But like, you can't incite violence. Like, you can't go in and be like, everybody kill that guy. Like that, you'll get charged for that. So there are certain things you can't say. But you can say any political or any religious things that you want. You might get fired, but you're not going to go to jail.
Yes, and however negative and however shocking it may be, yes, you can say whatever you want. But yes, you're right, and you can't get fired for it. Right. Wayne, I'm in a state we're an at-will state, which means any place can fire you for whatever reason. It doesn't even matter.
So there, and even that has checks and balances. So like, I'm in an at-will state as well in New Hampshire, and so, but corporations operate differently than mom and pop stores. So a corporation can't fire you for wearing a blue shirt on Tuesday. The mom and pop store can. There's nothing you can do about it because it's an at-will state. But the corporation, if they aren't firing everybody in the entire company nationwide for wearing blue shirts, then you can sue them for wrongful termination, even though it's an at-will state, because they aren't treating all of their employees exactly the same. So, and because not every state is an at-will state, that means that if you're in an at-will state as a corporation, you have to obey the laws of non-at-will states, because that way your corporation is across the board.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting, Wayne. Okay, so my last question before we end up tonight. Do you think this ever becomes like a Kaepernick situation?
Never. No, because like I said, he's playing for the world champions, and they're going to be world champions again, either this year or next year. That's going to happen. He's going to keep, and if he starts missing his kicks, it's going to turn into a Kaepernick situation, right? Because what's going to happen is he's going to get cut by the Chiefs if he can't make his kicks, and nobody's going to give him a chance to get back on the right and narrow path, right? So this is it. It's the Chiefs for the rest of his career, unless, again, he wins 2 or 3 more Super Bowls with 50-yard field goals. Somebody else will give him a chance, you know, like Justin Tucker. Like, you're not cutting Justin Tucker for saying being gay is a sin. Like, you're keeping him. He hits, 99% of his kicks. So it never turns into a Kaepernick situation unless he starts to miss, in which case I don't think he ever gets a second chance. But as long as he continues to be automatic, he's always going to have a job.
Okay, so I guess we'll see how it ensues next year and see if it becomes an issue and if it becomes another news story.
And I love the discussion that it sparked, not just around gay rights and not just around women's rights, but just around freedoms, right, in general, because like there are a lot of people calling for this guy to lose his job. I think that's an overreaction. I think he has a right to say what he wants. The team has a right to fire him, but you as a person, again, this is the biggest hypocrisy of all. How dare anybody call for this guy to lose his job? How dare they? Because that means that you're asking to be fired yourself. So he said something you don't like, you want him to be fired. Well, what's going to happen when you say something I don't like? I'm going to want you to be fired, right? So where does it stop? Let's just everybody stay in our lane. The Chiefs will handle it how the Chiefs want to handle it. Stay out of the Chiefs' business.
Yes, like I said, we will see how they handle it. If they don't want to deal with the Riders, he might be gone. Who knows? We'll see. It's very interesting. I'm very curious to see how it turns out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Until, like I said, one of 2 things that happen. We're either going to get a new news story about Rashee Rice killing somebody next week, or Harrison Butker is going to go on TV and be even more ridiculous than he was at this commencement address.
One thing we can agree on, Wayne, is the Chiefs they've had a great offseason, haven't they?
So, it's a good thing they went out and they got those receivers in the draft and everything, because they're losing Rashee Rice. It seems like every week there's a news story about him. And now the news story is that the guy that he punched is dropping the charges. I can only imagine why. And
yes, I was just gonna say that, Wayne. Money, money, money.
So now all he's got to do is deal with the reckless driving charge.
Yeah, so basically he paid off his buddy to take the charge. Remember what is it? Was it Chris Carter always said you got to have some friends that'll take the blame for you if you ever get in trouble or something stupid like that? Yeah. So he had his fall guy came through for him, just like Shohei's translator.
Oh yeah, that's that rascally translator.
All right. Well, I hope we didn't bore everybody too much with the schedule release, the wins and losses, the over-unders, the toughest games, easiest games, home away. I love it. It's something I do every year. If anybody out there that likes the nerdy stuff about their schedule, also, please send us a comment, send us an email. We'll do your schedule next week and we'll break it down. That's how we are on this show. NFL experts love breaking down the nerdy stuff of football. That is for sure.
Absolutely. And I love controversy, in case you guys can't tell. So if the Harrison Butker piece doesn't make you angry, I also wrote one called Asia Wilson was right about Caitlin Clark. She is popular because she's white. So let me know what you guys think. There's already 400 comments on MSN.com.
Yes, Wayno likes to get risque. So yes, check out his articles on Stadium Rant. He's a very well written, very well writer, very well, can't even talk tonight. A very well written writer that I like to read. Everybody check it out also. I hope everybody enjoyed tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed me running the show. It's back with Wayno next week for some more breakdowns. So please, everybody chime in with your team, and we'll get to it next week.
That's right. Otherwise, we're going to pick the teams for you, so it's not up to you anymore.
And then you won't have any chance for us. You won't have a chance to defend yourself. So come on, chime in, people. Brandon, where are you at? Man Hour, where are you guys at? Come on, send us your stuff.
Cool. Party on, yeah, it was a party on Mark.